pattern recognition, pattern matching, and pattern aligning. This is going to be about how to begin seeing for yourself the transmissions through the crystal. Some of you have begun looking into the frames of the crystal images that come through, and in the beginning are not able to see, and are growing in curiosity as they continue to look at the images, growing clearer and clearer to where they can very easily see what at first they could not. So this is an important part of the process for many of us, starting at the point of not being able to see, arriving somewhat quickly at the point of being able to see, and not just see, see clearly, and see what I'm seeing, shifting from their own patterns into my patterns and seeing what I'm seeing through my eyes, as well as what you see through yours. This is an important part of the work we're here doing, maybe the core work we're here doing, that allows us to let go of our own point, our own position, our own perception, to experience another. This is what consciousness expansion is. It is what consciousness exploration is. It is exploring beyond our own personal private point. And it's what creation is. It's what the creationing is. The kaleidoscope is. I could go on and on and on about this, because in essence, it is the evolution of the consciousness of humanity. But I'm not going to sidetrack. I promised myself I wasn't going to sidetrack. Our mind, in a sense, is a data processor, and there are varying rates of data processing speeds that allow us to see, and see in certain ways, and see certain patterns in certain ways. I'm going to give an example of this now. In the beta brainwave frequency that we're accustomed to in 3D Earth life experience, it allows us to see a separation between patterns. You see the outline, that is me. This is a pattern, the visual representation of Casey right here in front of you. And you see the plant over here. You see the crystal over here. You see spaces between one thing and another thing, between one pattern and another pattern. But in additional frequencies, let's stick with this term, in additional frequencies, there is an addition to the frequency speed in which the patterns that come through may come through in the same space. They're not separated with space in between them. And so the awareness and the mind has to learn how to pattern recognize patterns without space between the patterns. So in the crystal images, I'm going to sidetrack here for a moment because I've talked before about the concepts, the core concepts that come through the crystal transmissions, and this is one of them. One of them that comes through is the idea or concept of there being no empty space, the concept that everything is connected. And so when you look at the crystal images, when you look into the frames, you'll see that perhaps if they're are a dozen faces in there that you see, that patterns that you recognize as people, beings, you know, with an approximate face, eyes, nose, mouth, etc., that each of the beings shares an eye. So this is like the Vesica Pisces, where a circle rolls out of a circle, and the place where they overlap creates this football-like shape in the center. And so the faces overlap, and one being shares one eye with the next being, etc., etc., etc. And this is a certain processing speed that allows you to distinguish one face from another face. But there's an even higher frequency speed wherein you can look at a single face and many will come up out of it. This is a much, much, much higher processing speed, and it's what happens in the majority of my out-of-body experience. So what's coming through the crystal is no different than what I experienced when in additional states of consciousness, when in these additional frequency processing speeds of information. When I would shift out of body, I would most often shift into another being. When I would look down at myself or in a mirror, it would not be Casey. I would be someone else. And what allows me to see that someone else is a different frequency speed, a different processing speed. And this is what the crystal frames are being designed to help you with. In the same way binaural beats and isochronic tones audibly, vocally, help you come into these different frequency speeds. See, I sidetrack and then I have to get back on. So we run certain pattern recognition programs. In the 3D Earth Life, we are running a pattern recognition program that allows us, when we get certain data that looks approximately like this, it matches our pattern awareness of what a square is. When we get something that looks approximately like this, it matches what we call a circle. So this is a pattern recognition program that lets us receive certain data in geometric forms that continue to process through the geometric forms into additional structures that we recognize as, say, the crystal, the plant, the person, etc. And so the pattern recognition program we're running on various frequencies, as you come into additional frequencies, the recognition programs function simultaneously. And this is, again, what allowed me, when additional states of consciousness, to recognize myself as the being I was in the additional frequency. If not, I would look down at myself. If I was running the same frequency speed I do here, I would look down and see myself, because this is the pattern associated with that particular frequency speed. This all gets very complex and complicated, and this is just going to be a sneak peek into what I mean when I talk about pattern recognition, pattern matching, pattern aligning. Another word for this is simply connection and connecting, because this is what allows us the connecting capability in the experience field we have with each other. It's what takes us out of being alone in our own personal field into what is true consensus. And that is when we can experience through our own being other beings. No separation, no distance between, fully being experienced from right up within ourself, within our own energy. The other energies arise and let us know there's another being here. sidetracking again, because really that's the critical element. It's what we're here to help everyone begin opening out into, so that we can get out of the separation paradigm. That's what this is all about. This is about the graduation out of separation. And it doesn't happen all at once. It happens in gradients, in grades. And in each one, there is so much, and you can stop or pause wherever you want. We have paused in the 3D Earth life for an insurmountable length of time, and we're reaching a point in the cycle where the destruction and then re-beginning is going to start again, unless we can collectively graduate. I'm not going to sidetrack on that either. That's another that's what gives me the rush to come out and help everybody so much, because we're right in that pocket. So we're either going up and out, or we're going down, one or the other. Recycling. But if you would rather not recycle and instead cycle on into a new gradient, a new grade, we do have that option and availability to us right now. And this is the importance of this work to me as I stand here delivering it to you. It is the purpose. It's the reason. The more we begin to pattern align with each other, the more we're able to let go of our own point, our own position, our own perception, to experience another. That's our growth, that's our graduation. That is also our connection and close relationship experienced in such a new way with each other. Once you begin experiencing this, you'll never set it down again. You'll want to give it and give it and give it to as many as you can. It's what I am doing here now. I keep sidetracking on this. Goodness, stay focused. So I'm putting through to you my point, my position, my perception of what's coming through the crystal. And your opportunity is to let go of your point, your position, your perception, to let mine arise up in you, so you can see something new, so you can see something different, so you can see something through a pattern you may not be familiar with yet, that you may have never experienced yet. This is sort of interesting. When I first began going out of body, it wasn't very long. It was just months before I realized there was no essential difference between what people are calling a lucid dream, an out-of-body experience, astral projection, soul traveling, and all of these distinctions within the event of a simple expansion of consciousness, which could be to this point or this point or this point, but was still fundamentally an expansion of consciousness. This is what they all had in common. And I saw this very quickly within beginning that level of experience. But everybody was going on and on and on about these distinctions. And so one time when I was going out of body, I said, I want to see how they're experiencing this so I could see their patterns, their thoughts, and everything that they brought in order to have the experience in the way that they were. And wow, like kerpow, so much different than what I was experiencing with the patterns being employed through my own experiencing. And I could see, sure, with those patterns, that's exactly what I would say too. And I would be absolutely accurate. The thing is getting to the point where you can see that the pattern you're using, the pattern of thoughts and experiences you're bringing into play in order to see the thing in the way you're seeing is just one pattern, one possible pattern. It's not set, it's not fixed. You can let it go and bring in another, and another, and another, and another endlessly. So to get to the point, to drop all that and get to the point where you can see the fundamental experience as a simple expansion of consciousness, and you can delineate in your dialogue with people. But to get to what the fundamental happening is within each and every one of those concepts, lucid dreaming, out-of-body experience, etc., is important. It's critical. It's critical in bringing us all together, rather than continuing the debate and often outright fighting with one another about what something is. So long as we are in the realms of perception, and this is significantly out further than where we are even now, it's patterns that are brought in order to experience things, see things in a particular way. And knowing that there are just endless patterns lets us set that down so much easier, so much more quickly to get to the basis. If we can get to the basis of what a thing is, then all of the patterns fit within it. You can see everything, all the patterns, all of us fit within that. And that's what brings us together. That's what connects us, what joins us, and what helps us focus our collective attention in a single focused view, and lets us enact that view, actualize that view into building structures and systems here ground level that literally build us a new world. This may seem so small and so out there and so insignificant even to what we like to call reality, but this is so connected. This is so connected to our growth, to our graduation, to our coming together as a collective consciousness of humanity. So know that we're running pattern recognition programs. Know that some of these programs are not even ours, but ones that we've picked up through subliminal messaging and things like that that happen in this type of reality. Know that there's pattern recognition programs that are run on more frequencies, more channels than the 3D Earth Life channel. Know that the pattern recognition programs and processing speeds vary, and that in greater and greater, finer and finer processing speeds, there's less and less space between what we perceive of as things. Less and less space between concepts and our conceptualizing of raw data, of geometric symbols that we apply meaning to in very particular ways, uniquely. Know that experiencing your own is critical to begin experiencing another. And that as joyous as it is to experience our own, it's exponentially more joyous to begin experiencing another, and another, and another, and another endlessly. I'm going to leave off here and close this report. This has been about pattern recognition, pattern matching, and pattern aligning.